Have you ever felt it? That sudden, blinding flash of heat that floods your chest, the tightening in your jaw, the violent hijack of your own rational mind. One moment you are a calm, intelligent adult, and the next you are a puppet, your strings being pulled by the careless word of a stranger, the infuriating incompetence of a colleague, or the anonymous aggression of another driver in traffic. You have been provoked, and you have reacted. And in the aftermath, after the storm of adrenaline has passed, you are left with the cold, bitter residue, the shame of your outburst, the damage to your relationships, and the terrifying, humiliating realization that you are not in control of your own soul. You are a slave to the first person who pushes your buttons. You have likely spent a great deal of your life trying to manage this problem. You have tried deep breathing, counting to 10, walking away. You have reasoned with yourself. You have practiced positive thinking. You have vowed 1,000 times to not let them get to you. And yet the hijack happens again. You are left with a feeling of profound and hopeless weakness. You believe that you are simply a hot-tempered person, that your anger is an incurable part of your character. You believe that your peace is a fragile, precious thing, that the world, with its endless parade of fools and aggressors, is constantly trying to steal from you. But what if this entire premise is a lie? What if the anger, the frustration, and the irritation you feel have absolutely nothing to do with the external world? What if other people, with all their flaws and provocations, have zero power to disturb your peace? What if the key to an unshakable, godlike tranquility is not about changing the world, but about a radical and revolutionary transformation of your own mind? Let me propose a truth that, once fully understood, can render you utterly and completely immune to the provocations of others. No one can make you angry. You are the sole and absolute author of every ounce of anger you have ever felt. To be bothered by another person is a choice you make, an act of consent you give. And what you can consent to, you can also refuse. This is not a comforting platitude. This is the central, ironclad principle of one of the most powerful and practical psychological systems ever devised: Stoicism. The great Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, were not interested in theories. They were interested in results. Their philosophy was a training ground, a forge for the soul, designed to create a human being who was psychologically invincible, a fortress of tranquility in a world of chaos. To learn their secrets is to embark on the most audacious journey a human can take, the journey of withdrawing your consent to be disturbed, and in doing so, becoming the absolute, sovereign master of your own inner world. The Great Deception, unmasking the true source of your anger. The first and most critical step on this path is to shatter the fundamental illusion that fuels all your emotional suffering. The illusion is this: you believe that external events have a direct, causal power over your internal state. You believe the traffic makes you angry, the insult makes you feel hurt, your colleague's mistake makes you frustrated. The Stoics saw this as the foundational error of the untrained mind. Epictetus stated it with a brutal clarity that leaves no room for escape. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This is the great secret. There is a space between the external event and your emotional response. In that space, a lightning-fast and usually unconscious mental process takes place. It is the process of judgment. The event itself is neutral. It is a raw, objective fact. The traffic is slow. Someone uttered a series of sounds. Your colleague performed a task incorrectly. These are facts. They have no inherent emotional charge. The anger, the hurt, the frustration, these are not properties of the event. They are properties of the story you tell yourself about the event. They are the product of your judgment. Let us dissect this. The traffic is not making you angry. You are making yourself angry with a series of judgments. This shouldn't be happening. These people are idiots. I'm going to be late and it's going to be a disaster. My time is being disrespected. The insult is not making you feel hurt. You are hurting yourself with a judgment. This person's opinion of me is important. They have seen a truth about my inadequacy. My social standing has been diminished. Your colleague's mistake is not making you frustrated. You are frustrating yourself with a judgment. People should not make mistakes. This reflects poorly on me. Now I have to fix this and it's unfair. Do you see? The suffering is not in the event. It is in the narrative. And while you have absolutely no control over the event, you have, in theory, absolute control over the narrative. This is the master key to all emotional freedom. This is the discovery of what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. There are things that are up to us and things that are not up to us. Things not up to us include everything external: our bodies, our reputations, our possessions, and the actions of other people. Things up to us include one thing and one thing only: our own mind, our own will, our own judgments. The entirety of human misery comes from trying to control what is not up to us and simultaneously failing to control what is up to us. To become undefeatable is to reverse this. It is to consciously and systematically withdraw all of your psychic energy from the vast, uncontrollable realm of the external and to focus it entirely on the small, sovereign kingdom of your own judgments. You must declare a unilateral ceasefire in your war with reality. You must accept that the world and the people in it will never perfectly conform to your desires. They are what they are. To be angry at them for being what they are is as insane as being angry at a stone for falling downwards. The work is not to change them. The work is to change the only thing you can: your own mind. The inner citadel, the practical forging of a mind of iron. Knowing this distinction intellectually is the first step, but to embody it, to make it a reflexive, automatic part of your being in the heat of a provocative moment, requires relentless daily training. You must treat your mind not as a beautiful garden to be admired, but as a forge, a gymnasium, a training ground for a warrior. The first and most crucial training exercise is the discipline of assent. This is the conscious practice of catching your own judgments in the act. When an event happens, someone cuts you off in traffic, your partner says something sharp, you must learn to see it as a raw impression, a piece of neutral data, and you must see your own initial automatic reaction. That jerk, he did that on purpose, not as the truth, but as a proposal from your untrained mind. It is a story, an interpretation, and you have the power to say no to that proposal. You must create a pause. In that sacred space between the stimulus and your response, you must ask yourself a simple question: is this event within my control or outside of it? If it is outside your control, then your only rational response is to accept it as it is. You then ask a second question: is the story I am telling myself about this event helping me or harming me? Is it leading to virtue and tranquility or to chaos and suffering? You must become a ruthless editor of your own inner narrator. You must learn to strip the event of its dramatic emotional language. You were not disrespected. A person operating from their own ignorance and flawed judgments said some words. You were not betrayed. A person acting in accordance with their own character made a choice. By refusing to assent to the initial catastrophic judgment, you starve the anger of its fuel. It cannot ignite. The second training exercise is to fundamentally reframe your understanding of the perpetrator. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, who dealt daily with treachery, incompetence, and hostility, constantly reminded himself of this profound psychological insight. When a man has done you any wrong, immediately consider with what opinion about good or evil he has done wrong. For when you have seen this, you will pity him and will neither wonder nor be angry. No one does wrong willingly, the Stoics argued. People do what they do because, at that moment, with the information and the level of wisdom they possess, they believe it is the right or necessary thing to do. The person who insults you genuinely believes that their judgment of you is correct. The person who cuts you in line genuinely believes that their time is more important than yours. They are not evil, they are mistaken. They are suffering from a profound form of spiritual and intellectual blindness. To be angry at them for their flawed actions is as irrational as being angry at a blind man for bumping into you or at a sick man for coughing on you. Your response should not be anger, but a kind of detached pity, a clinical understanding. You think to yourself, this person is operating from a place of ignorance. Their mind is afflicted with false judgments. This is not about me, this is about them. This reframing drains the personal venom from the interaction. You are no longer the victim of a malicious attack. You are the calm, rational observer of another person's unfortunate inner turmoil. This does not mean you condone their behavior or allow them to harm you. You can still take firm, decisive action to protect yourself, but you do so from a place of calm, strategic clarity, not from the blinding fog of reactive rage. The untouchable soul, withdrawing your consent to be harmed. This leads to the most radical and empowering secret of the Stoic path. Seneca wrote, "He who angers you, conquers you." Every time you allow another person's actions to generate a storm of anger within you, you have handed them the keys to your own inner citadel. You have made them the master of your emotional state. You have become their puppet. Your peace of mind, your most precious possession, is now dependent on the behavior of the most flawed, unpredictable, and ignorant people in your environment. This, to the Stoics, is the very definition of slavery. The path to freedom is the realization that you are only ever harmed if you believe you are harmed. The insult, the betrayal, the injustice, these things have no inherent power to harm your soul, your true self, your hegemonicon, ruling faculty. They can harm your body, your reputation, your finances, but these are all externals, things in the category of the indifferent. Your soul remains untouched unless you give your consent for it to be harmed. Your anger is that act of consent. It is the moment you agree with the proposition that you have been damaged. Imagine someone tries to hand you a piece of burning coal. You would not take it. You would simply refuse to accept the gift, and the person holding it would be the only one who gets burned. The same is true of an insult. When someone directs a hateful comment at you, they are trying to hand you a piece of psychic poison. If you do not accept it, if you do not internalize it, if you do not react to it, who does it belong to? It remains with them. They are the ones who are poisoned by their own malice and ignorance. To cultivate this untouchable soul requires a profound shift in your source of self-worth. You must stop deriving your value from the fluctuating, unreliable opinions of others and start deriving it from a single, unshakable source, the quality of your own character. Your goal is not to be well-liked, but to be a person of virtue. Your goal is not to be seen as smart, but to act with wisdom. Your goal is not to be praised, but to be praiseworthy. When your self-esteem is rooted in your own integrity, the words of others become irrelevant noise. To be bothered by the judgment of an ignorant person would be as absurd as an expert mathematician being bothered by the opinion of a child who says that 2 + 2 = 5. You simply recognize the error, feel a touch of pity for their confusion, and move on, your own tranquility utterly undisturbed. The view from above, dissolving the ego in the grandeur of the cosmos. There is one final, profound shift in perspective that cements the Stoics' invincibility, a practice that can dissolve anger and frustration in an instant. It is the practice of taking the view from above. Marcus Aurelius, in the midst of the immense stress of ruling the Roman Empire, of dealing with plagues, wars, and treacherous courtiers, would constantly practice this mental exercise. He would zoom out, seeing his own life, his own problems, his own empire, from the vast, silent perspective of the cosmos. He would imagine looking down upon the entire Earth, seeing all its frantic activity, its wars, its festivals, its births and deaths as a fleeting and insignificant drama. He would see the person who had wronged him as a tiny, frightened creature acting out their small part in this vast play. He would then zoom out further to see the Earth itself as a tiny speck of dust in the infinite, star-dusted blackness of space. He would then zoom out even further into the vast, immeasurable expanse of time, seeing the entire history of the human race, with all its sound and fury, as a mere blink of an eye between two eternities. From this cosmic perspective, the problems that seem so monumental, so life-shattering from the ground, shrink to their true, insignificant size. The insult that wounded your ego, the business deal that fell through, the public opinion that turned against you, from the view from above, these things are less than nothing. They are the squabbles of ants on a tiny, temporary hill. This is not a practice of self-negation, but of self-liberation. It frees you from the suffocating prison of your own ego, the part of you that believes that your personal drama is the center of the universe. It reminds you that you are a small, temporary part of a vast, intelligent, and interconnected whole, the Logos. Your job is not to impose your own petty will upon this whole, but to play your small part in its grand, unfolding symphony with as much virtue and grace as you can muster. To live as a Stoic is to become a citizen of the cosmos. It is to align your own small, personal will with the vast, universal will of nature. It is to accept everything that happens without exception as a necessary and perfect part of a larger order that you cannot fully comprehend. The betrayal, the illness, the loss, these are not mistakes. They are your curriculum. They are the specific, tailor-made challenges that the universe has presented to you to forge your character, to test your virtue, to perfect your soul. This is the meaning of amor fati, the love of one's fate. It is the ability to not just tolerate, but to joyfully embrace everything that happens, seeing it all as fuel for your spiritual fire. The person who can do this is more than just resilient. They are more than just strong. They are truly, fundamentally, and absolutely undefeatable. The world can no longer harm them, for they have learned to see the hand of God in every event, the opportunity for virtue in every obstacle. This is the path that is open to you. It is not an easy path. It is a path of relentless training, of constant vigilance, of a lifelong war against the undisciplined, reactive, and fearful tendencies of your own mind. But the prize it offers is the greatest prize a human being can attain, a state of profound inner peace, unshakable resilience, and absolute freedom. You have already felt the chaos of the world. You have already known the terror of being a slave to your own emotions. The question is not whether the storms of life will come. The question is whether you will be a flimsy raft, tossed and shattered by every wave, or whether you will do the hard, sacred work of becoming an indestructible fortress, a serene island of virtue in the turbulent ocean of fate. The choice and the power is entirely and only yours.